So you admit that this increase could hit workers' pay?
I absolutely accept that wage growth may be weaker than it otherwise would have been.
They have had their fair share of sleaze, haven't they, the Conservative Party? And not like, I mean, all parties get a little bit of sleaze, but it's not like cool stuff like Labour, like punching a farmer.
Rachel Reeves thought she had it all figured out, a rising star in Labour poised to lead the economic charge. But in one explosive moment, her carefully crafted image came crashing down. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Watch as Ricky Gervais, armed with razor-sharp wit and unfiltered honesty, dismantles Reeves' $22 billion claim on live TV.
Directly, and do you see that as a reasonable price to pay for stabilising public finances?
I think it is. It was a difficult decision, the hardest decision in the budget yesterday.
Or having two Jags. Do you remember that Conservative MP, Stephen Milligan, found dead with a noose around his neck?
I'm not going to be coming back with a budget like this in the future.
It's a political meltdown you won't believe, and it's happening right before our eyes. Rachel Reeves, Labour's self-proclaimed economic savior, thought she'd struck gold. Her announcement of a $22 billion fiscal black hole sent shockwaves through the political landscape. But as the dust settled, questions began to swirl. Had Reeves really uncovered a financial bombshell, or was this just another case of political smoke and mirrors? Reeves, once hailed as Labour's brightest economic mind, seemed to relish her moment in the spotlight. She boldly proclaimed, the dastardly as if she'd single-handedly unearthed a hidden treasure trove of financial mismanagement. But financial experts weren't buying it. They'd been sounding alarm bells about the UK's tight fiscal position for months. Reeves's discovery felt more like a rehash of old news dressed up in new clothes. The public's reaction was a mix of skepticism and frustration. Social media lit up with comments questioning Reeves's credibility. Many wondered how Labour's economic mastermind could be so out of touch with existing financial analyses. The disconnect between Reeves's dramatic announcement and the public's awareness of ongoing economic challenges only fueled the growing distrust in political promises. Economic analysts didn't hold back in their criticism. They questioned Reeves's methodology, suggesting her $22 billion figure was an oversimplification of complex fiscal realities. Critics argued that her approach failed to account for the broader economic context, painting a misleading picture of the UK's financial situation. The mounting skepticism from experts cast a long shadow over Reeves's claims. Enter Ricky Gervais, armed with his trademark wit and a no-nonsense attitude. As Reeves fumbled through rehearsed talking points on live TV, Gervais methodically dismantled her arguments. He pointed out the glaring inconsistencies between her claims and previous economic analyses, leaving Reeves visibly flustered. Gervais, channeling public frustration, didn't mince words. If a government can't be trusted to keep its promises, what's the point of those promises in the first place? Gervais' takedown was surgical. He exposed Reeves's apparent disconnect from working-class struggles, questioning her credibility as an economist. As Reeves struggled to defend her position, it became clear that Labour's economic strategy was built on shaky ground. The interview spiraled out of control, with Reeves unable to counter Gervais' sharp critiques and pointed questions. The fallout from this live TV meltdown extends far beyond Reeves herself. It raises serious questions about Labour's economic competence and their ability to present a coherent vision for the country's future. As the dust settles on Reeves's $22 billion blunder, one thing is clear: Labour's credibility has taken a massive hit, and regaining public trust won't be easy. With public trust in Labour's economic policies hitting rock bottom, one has to wonder, how did a party that claims to champion the working class end up so disconnected from their needs? The answer lies in a series of broken promises that even Ricky Gervais couldn't ignore. Labour's tax promises under Rachel Reeves' leadership were once touted as unshakable pillars of their economic platform. They pledged to support middle-class families and small businesses, vowing to create a fairer tax system that would benefit the average worker. But as time went on, these ironclad commitments began to show cracks. Take, for example, the extension of the inheritance tax personal allowance threshold until 2030. This policy, contrary to Labor's initial promises, has been criticized for disproportionately affecting middle-class families struggling to secure generational wealth. It's a far cry from the party's rhetoric about supporting hardworking Britons. But the backtracking doesn't stop there. Planned reforms to agricultural and business relief, set to take effect in 2026, are raising eyebrows among small farmers and entrepreneurs. These changes are expected to create additional financial hurdles for the very people Labor claims to represent. It's no wonder that working-class voters are expressing disappointment with the party's direction. As these policy reversals and adjustments pile up, public faith in Labor's economic strategy is plummeting. Surveys indicate that trust in politicians is at an all-time low, reflecting a broader sentiment of skepticism towards political promises. The disconnect between Labor's words and actions has left many feeling betrayed and unrepresented. Enter Ricky Gervais, a man known for his no-holds-barred approach to calling out hypocrisy. Coming from a working-class background himself, Gervais has become an unlikely voice for those frustrated with political doublespeak. His confrontation with Reeves on live TV was nothing short of explosive. Gervais didn't pull any punches as he exposed Reeves' apparent disconnection from working-class struggles. He pointed out the glaring inconsistencies between Labor's promises and their actions, leaving Reeves visibly flustered. It's not just one or two missteps, Gervais declared. It's a systemic failure that reflects poorly on their leadership. As Reeves struggled to defend her party's record, it became painfully clear that Labor's economic strategy was built on shifting sands. The interview laid bare the growing chasm between the party's rhetoric and the reality faced by ordinary citizens. It wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet anymore. It was about real people facing real consequences of broken promises. This disastrous encounter has far-reaching implications for Labor's leadership. It raises serious questions about their ability to present a coherent vision for the country's economic future. As the dust settles on this latest controversy, one thing is certain: Labor faces an uphill battle to regain the trust of the very people they claim to represent. Rachel Reeves' disastrous encounter with Ricky Gervais has laid bare the deep-rooted issues plaguing Labor's economic strategy. What began as a bold claim about a $22 billion fiscal black hole quickly unraveled into a stark revelation of Labor's disconnection from working-class realities. Gervais, with his trademark wit, exposed the glaring inconsistencies between Labor's promises and their actions, leaving Reeves fumbling for answers. This public meltdown raises serious questions about Labor's credibility moving forward. How can a party that claims to champion the working class be so out of touch with their struggles? The growing chasm between Labor's rhetoric and their policy decisions has left many voters feeling betrayed and unrepresented. As Labor grapples with internal dissent and calls for change, one has to wonder, can they rebuild public trust? Or will their economic strategy continue to crumble under the weight of broken promises and misguided policies? The future of Labor's leadership hangs in the balance, and only time will tell if they can bridge the gap between their words and actions.